Welcome everyone to Coachinginsession. My name is Michael Reardon and I'll be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about my most recent blog, The Next Steps Toward Your Happiness. And the tune-up series is going to be a blog series or a blog type that is going to help people who have a good mindset already. Now, if you have a poor mindset, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't utilize this blog, but the tune-up series is to help people stay on track. So if you're off track, how do you get on track? RevenantConcepts.com, of course. But if you are already on track and you have good things going for you, you're ambitious, you're happy, you have a purpose, passion, you have a mission, some goals, then keep going, keep pushing. The tune-up series is going to be a blog for you. But for the people who are coming in with a mindset that might need some adjustments, the tune-up series will help, but you're not going to be able to apply it as well as if you were already in a good, strong mindset. So today we're going to be talking about the next steps toward your happiness and how we can do that. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into the blog article. Now, our blog article is going to be at RevenantConcepts.com, of course. If you're new, you're going to head over to the resources tab, head over to blogs, and give that a little click. And then we have the tune-up part 31, the next steps toward your happiness. Now, of course, the blog articles go into more details, give different examples than I provide in the podcast. So it's always good to listen to the podcast and then also to read the article. So the steps toward happiness are going to be as followed. Number 1, what do you want out of life? 2, why have you not achieved it? 3, impending challenges. 4, how to get there. And then 5, do not give up. Now, I'm going to break each of those steps down right now. These 5 steps are going to be the beginning and the end of how you can start to achieve more happiness in your life. Because people think that all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to get happiness because I'm able to follow these steps. You have to put in the work. And if you can follow these 5 steps, then happiness is going to be a sure deal. Now, of course, your mindset has to be in alignment. That's why I said earlier, the tune-up series is going to be talking about if you're in a strong mindset already. So we need to start to look now, right? Because we have to figure out if we're happy, number 1. And many people just walk through life and they're not happy. So if they're not doing the things that make them happy, then what are they doing? Are they doing things that make them unhappy? Are they not finding their purpose? There's a reason why we do the things we do. And the steps toward happiness are going to help you define what do you want out of life. Because if you're not happy, if you don't know your purpose, if you want more than what you have right now, that's fine. We can go for it, but you have to know how to do it. And that's going to be the greatest challenge because many people say they want something good in their life, but they're not willing to put in the work. So the moment they say, okay, I'm unhappy and I want to change my life, I want to change my circumstances, they might start the actions, but they don't finish. So how can we be people who finish the action? We need to take that step toward happiness. We need to take that step toward finishing our goals. We need to take that step to be better people. Initially, it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be something that you just wake up one day and you say, okay, I'm ready to do this. Typically, it requires a trauma. Now, if you are the type of person who can be a self-starter, you're ambitious, then you don't necessarily need that. But the majority of people are going to have a difficult time following through with steps if they don't have anyone to hold them accountable. Because it's easy to get a coach and then you start working with the coach and you're doing well. You work with them 1 month, 2 months, and then you say, you know what? I'm doing pretty good. I'm going to stop working with them. And you're on the right track, right? You're doing the right things, but somewhere down the line, our old habits start to come back. And then what happens? We start to regress. Now we're even further back than where we were when we started. Because now we have a block in our mind and we're saying, I'm even worse than what I was. And that's going to be challenging because people who think that they can just reach a goal and then all of a sudden it stays there forever, that is the farthest from the truth. Because if you have a goal and you reach that goal, you need to do things to maintain that goal. Looking at relationships, for example, you can start a relationship with someone and then stop taking them out to eat, stop buying them flowers. What do you think is going to happen eventually? Eventually, that person is not going to be happy in that relationship. It's not necessarily that the person doesn't make them happy. It's just that they're not happy in that relationship. And happiness is going to be one of those things that is going to be generalized, where it could be, am I happy in my relationship? Am I happy in my career? Am I happy in my life overall? Am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I fulfilling my passions? Do I know my gift? Because when you run away from your purpose, it's almost like you're running away from a part of yourself. And happiness can be for everyone. But many people just walk through life being complacent, and they don't even know the difference if they're happy or sad until there's a moment that defines it. Because we understand that emotions last 90 seconds. But do you understand that you can feel happiness as much as you want? That you can feel sadness, anger, hate as much as you want? The brain is so focused on what's the negative that we're worried about everything that's going wrong in our life that we fail to see what's going right. So looking at these steps, the steps toward happiness. Number 1, what do you want out of your life? We have one life. At the end of it, you have to come to the conclusion, did you do everything you wanted to do? And of course, you might not travel the whole entire world. You might not visit every continent that you wanted to, or every place or every city that you wanted to. That's not going to leave you with as much regret. Regret is going to be the things that you should have done. For example, I regret not talking to my family or a loved one that passed away. I regret not being more ambitious and speaking up for myself. So we have to ask ourselves, what do we want out of life? Because if we don't want much and we already have what we want, ask yourself, is this really what you want? Are you okay with this? And then start to compare. Because some people are happy where they are right now, and that's fine. They could be happy. But at the same time, let's look at where they were. Were you in a better place or a worse place 2 years ago? Now, look at the pandemic, right? Most people will say that they were in a better place in 2019 than 2020 and or 2022. So that means people have been unhappy for about 2 years, maybe more, depending on the person. So they are allowing circumstances to define them. But what do they want? Because if you don't know what you want, then how can you get what you want? When you start to identify what you want in your life, then you can start to attract your focus and your consciousness toward that. Many people just walk through life aimlessly and they just take what the world gives them. And when you do that, you're not necessarily going to get what you want. Life is like a buffet, for example. But when you go to the buffet, there's going to be someone who picks the food for you. And even though you're at a buffet and you have the option for all that food, if there's someone who's picking that food for you, why even go to the buffet? So besides that point, we have to understand what we want. Because if we don't know what we want, we're just going to take what we get. And that's where complacency sets in. That's where our lesser self starts to set in, our weaker self starts to come in. And we stop pushing for our full potential. And all those type of negative mindsets, whether it be a fixed mindset, a scarcity mindset, a limited mindset, there's so many mindsets that come in when we don't know what we want in life. But the moment you decide what you want, then we can start to take a step toward the person we need to be. Because when you're that person, you can go after anything you want in your life. And that's where happiness is, that journey. It's not so much the destination, but the journey that you're about to take, the next step toward happiness, because happiness is going to be a step at a time. And there's no destination necessarily. There's always a next step. There's always something to do. There's always something to maintain. And then we have to look at number 2. Why have we not achieved it? Most of the time, we are our own worst enemies that means we are the people who sabotage our own life. We want something in our life, but we say, no, I'm not going to do this. Or they give themselves a reason or an excuse. And it's easy to run away. It is very simple to turn your back and say, I'm not going to fight the world today. I'm going to just take the punches and I'm just going to not get up anymore. It's easy to stay down in life. What's challenging is getting up when you get knocked down. What's challenging is pushing forward when you don't know for certainty if you're going to succeed. Once you understand that life is not so much on what you do, but how you plan. Because if you have not achieved something, then what are you planning to do? Because there's a saying, if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. So the people who don't plan, then we can realize, okay, that's why we haven't achieved it. And then for the people who are doing massive action toward their best self to the person that they want to be, guess what happens? They might fall down and they might not want to get back up. And they might keep butting their heads against the wall, hoping, wishing that there's a different outcome for their actions. And sometimes we have to pivot. If things are not working out in your way, let's figure out how we can make it better. What can we do to drive you towards success? And success is going to be that personal definition, right? What do you want to succeed? What does success look like for you? Because if success is living a simple life, making $30,000, maybe living in a cabin in the woods with a dog or a cat, maybe with a significant other, that's an easy lifestyle to attain. But what happens if you dare greatly? What happens if you want something more out of life? You have to plan. And if you plan correctly, then plan to succeed too. And that's going to lead to happiness, because now we're able to achieve something in our life. Now we're brimming with confidence. We're exuding what we want to be in life. Our aura has been recharged. We are ambitious. But there's a problem. Step number 3, the impending challenges that we have to fight. And those challenges are going to be a mental battle more so than a physical battle, because there are going to be people who tell you this. You're not going to be able to do something in your life. You're not going to surmount to anything. Why do you even try? You're no good at what you do. Just give up. There's going to be constant critics every single day in your life. And those critics are going to either make you or break you. Now, of course, in the beginning, especially when we're younger, those critics are our peers. That's why peer pressure is so powerful. And even as adults, we have standards that we have to follow. So if we don't follow those standards, guess what happens? Now we're going to be looked at as an outcast. And people don't want to be outcast. People want to be accepted overall. And I don't blame people for wanting to be accepted, because it's comfortable. And when you get comfortable, it's difficult to get out of that. So how can we get out of that comfort that we have created for our life, our comfort zone? We have to look at what the comfort zone is. Because if we look at what the comfort zone is, then we can say, all right, this is what the comfort zone is. But just because I'm in the comfort zone doesn't necessarily mean I have to stay here. So we push out past it and we're able to achieve more than what we would if we just stayed in our comfort zone. Those challenges of pushing past our lesser self, our comfort zone, that's going to be one of the biggest challenges or the greatest challenges that you're going to have to face in your life. You are your own worst enemy. How can we befriend ourselves, make ourselves an ally on the fight to the person we're supposed to be, the person that you want to be? Because if you don't want anything in your life, then we go back to step number 1. Because if you don't want anything more out of life, then these steps are not necessary. You should already be where you are. But many people pretend to be happy. Many people put on a smile and they push through their day and they hope and they wish for a better tomorrow, for luck to come their way, for someone to come save them. In reality, the person who you should be betting on is yourself. And we need to figure out how to get there. And that's step number 4. How do we get toward that happiness? And it's going to be a mixture of our plan, our mindset, and our ambition level. Because we can achieve great things in our life. The problem is, do you have the mindset for it? So we need to have the mindset, number 1. Number 2, we need to have the plan. We need to have some structure that's going to help us get to where we need to be. A guide almost, to help us get to where we need to be. And if you're lost and you don't know how to get there, and you don't know how to make a plan, reverendconcepts.com. That's what I do. I help people plan out the next steps. And during that process of me helping people, I'm navigating them through the wilderness that is life. And before they can step on a landmine, before they can fall off a cliff accidentally, I say, hey, let's not go that way. Let's go this way. It's a guide. And I help your thinking, and I formulate your thinking in the way of where it needs to be. Just like an artist, everything has a place. And in your mind, everything has a place too. And sometimes our mind becomes disorganized. Similar to how your bedroom might be. If you look around, is everything in the right place? The bed neatly made? Are all the clothes put away? Are the countertops dusted? There's a lot to cleaning more than just making sure that the floor is clean and that you're not going to trip over and get a concussion when you fall. We need to figure out how to get there. How do we get to a lifestyle that's going to lead us to happiness? How are we going to get to the life that's going to bring us the most joy and fulfillment? And after we found our purpose and our passion and our gift, we can say that we have done something amazing in our life, because you have the opportunity to do something amazing. And if you're having a difficult time figuring that out, we need to have a plan to help you get there, because there's no reason why you have to stay in mediocrity. You should be going after the life that you want to live. Our last step, our 5th step, it's going to sound like common sense. Don't give up. That is the last step. Don't give up. How many people start something but they don't finish? How many people start something but they don't see progress quick enough, so they give up? And it's a constant battle every day to push yourself when you don't see the progress. Because if you don't see the progress, your brain, your subconscious mind is going to say, wait, what are we doing? Why are we wasting our energy? There has to be a motive behind the madness. There has to be a motive behind the action. Because if you don't have a motive, then we might give up. And you might have a great idea for something, and you say, this is going to help me get to happiness. This is going to help me get to great riches in my life. And whether it does or doesn't, that's going to be dependent on you. That means even though times get rough, even though you might not know how you're going to pay the rent next month, you have to believe in yourself. You only need one person to believe in you. And if you're having a hard time doing that, then I recommend getting a life coach, because they are going to automatically believe in you. People might come to me with the craziest ideas. And then after, we just have our introduction, our free consultation. And sometimes I'm able to help them, sometimes I'm not. And depending on where they are in their life. I'm not in the business of taking from people and they're not ready for that change. Because if you understand that you can be a good person in your life, that you don't have to turn things over because you have the power to turn things over. If someone comes to me and they need help and I can help them, let's get to work. Now, if someone comes to me and they're not ready for that change quite yet, I explain why. And they might agree, they might not agree. And it's not me saying that they don't need help. It's just that they have a different idea in their mind right now. And the idea is not necessarily mindset. The idea is not necessarily happiness. The idea might be revenge. The idea might be getting even with someone because they have anger in their life. And I ask them, I say, well, would you like to deal with that anger? Would you like to let it go? Or would you like to hold on to it for some time? Some people say, I would like to hold on to it. And I say, that's fine, because there's a place for that anger too. We have to feel our emotions, whether that be anger, sadness, happiness. We have to feel them, and we have to learn how to manage them. Because if you're happy when you're with someone, how long until that goes away? Look at the honeymoon phase in marriages. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Now, I can't imagine many people going down the aisle to be married and they're just unhappy with the person. Like, oh, I dislike this person. I hate this person. I can't see that to be a normality. Most people are going to be happy on their wedding day. Now, of course, there might be some hiccups. There might be some issues. There might be a lot of stress. But having a relationship is going to be a lot of work. But we don't give up on them. We keep pushing. We keep fixing. We don't just get a new model when this one gets old. We don't just trade up. We just don't run away in hopes that we find something better. Because what can be better in your life right now than you taking action? Because if you can take the action necessary for you to achieve great things in your life, then you're going to start to see the results that that action has brought. Because you are the person who's going to be the factor if you achieve great things in your life or if you do not achieve great things in your life. So what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to come save you? Are you waiting for an opportunity for you to realize that, oh, I'm the person who has to make everything possible. I have to push past that uncomfort. I have to push past my lesser self. And I have to make sure when I'm on the right path, I keep getting closer and closer to my goal and I don't give up. Because the moment you give up, you make it more challenging for yourself the next time you try. You don't have to make your life a challenge, but many people choose that challenging path for no reason. And they say that the more challenging road is going to lead to greatness. And though that has some truth, there's a right way and a wrong way to be efficient. And many people choose inefficiency than efficiency. So, looking at the steps toward happiness, you can get there. You do have to make sure you have the right process and the right mindset. And if you're having a hard time figuring out that process or that mindset, head over to revenantconcepts.com and we can get you started on that right path so you can find out who you were meant to be. What is your purpose? What is your gift? And then we can align you with the next steps and get you on track, keep you on track. And there's no obstacle that's going to get in the way. And there's not going to be any obstacle big enough that we can't overcome. There's not going to be any challenge that we can't get rid of or we can't defeat. We are powerful. And as long as we realize that, then we can start to achieve great things. And then happiness will be the result. And happiness will be the process that we act upon in each step toward our dreams, our purpose, and our new goals that we give ourselves. If you're just tuning in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this video. I will see everyone on Wednesday for our next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.